Let's play a quick game of word association. I'd like you to please close your eyes and think about Egypt. What comes into your head? Now, please open your eyes. Is it pyramids, camels, maybe pharaohs? But maybe, if you're a history nerd, you'll think of the fact that my ancestors used beer as a currency, or that they synthesized the Kohl eyeliner, which you can see closely around my eyes, which became a foundation of their nature. That is the Egypt of your textbooks. It is a tourist destination. It's a place of glory, a glory frozen in time. But then there's the other Egypt, the one that is buried under a clumsy colonial label, the Middle East, a term that conjures images of sand, anger, and conflict. But I'm not here to talk about Egypt of the pharaohs, and I'm not here to discuss geopolitics. I'm here to talk about the Egypt I grew up in, the Egypt that lives in the gap between the headlines and the textbooks. The Egypt where being different is not just a quirky trait, it can be death defying. There's a common saying that says, if the only tool you have is a hammer, you treat everything else as if it were a nail. In the dictatorship, we were the nails. In 2017 in Cairo, Sarah Higazi, an Egyptian lesbian activist who dared to raise a rainbow flag at a music concert in 2017. Just for that simple act of visibility, just for existing, she was imprisoned. She was tortured and sexually assaulted. Despite seeking asylum in Canada, the trauma eventually drove her to suicide. I felt this pain myself. I felt like I was a glitch in the system. I grew up curious like any other little kid. I questioned religions which I was physically punished for. I grew my hair long, and in the US, you might think a long hair on a guy would make them look like musicians. But in conservative Egypt, it is provocation. It is seen as feminine, it is seen as weak, deviant, and rebellious. I got used to people staring at me, touching me, pulling my hair in the streets, and threatening me. But living under a dictatorship isn't just about fearing the people around you, and it's not just fearing the government. You see, the system doesn't just rule with an iron fist. It molds the minds of its citizens. It turns them into enforcers. It turns everyone around you who can be strangers, acquaintances, friends, and even family into watchdogs. You lose a sense of whom to trust. And even though nothing prepares you for a betrayal, and I certainly wasn't ready for mine. In 2020 of July, I was meeting my best friends for coffee. People I had known for 5 years. People I thought I was safe with. And little did I know it was a trap. They were there to interrogate me. They had found my private social media account, the one place I could be myself. And they accused me of going down a bad path. For them, that was supporting LGBTQ plus rights, being a mental health advocate, and having different religious beliefs. And the problem wasn't that they just disagreed with me. They threatened to report me to the authorities. In that coffee shop, my soul shattered. It shattered because of the realization that the people I laughed with, the people I trusted with my life, looked at me and didn't see a friend. They saw a godless, deviant, westernized, shameful abomination. And the hammer hasn't stopped. It kept falling on me and on other people. And I realized that waiting in silence was its own form of death. So in August 2020, I decided to take a risk. I decided to build a community. I created an online community called Intelligent Brains. On the surface, it was just a Facebook group. But in a dictatorship, speaking the truth is a revolutionary act. We wanted to replace dogma with science. We talked about mental health not as demonic position, but as biology. We talked about LGBTQ+, not as Western deviance, but as human identity. We also advocated for bodily autonomy and reproductive rights. The hunger for this truth was ravenous. We peaked at 33,000 members, 33,000 young people hiding in plain sight, looking for a place where they don't have to hide, where they don't have to lie or pretend about who they were. For a moment, we felt powerful. We felt like we were creating a digital democracy inside a physical dictatorship. But living under a dictatorship means that the system is always watching. By creating this space, I hadn't just built a community. I had painted a target on my back. A few months later, in December 2020, I was meeting my best friends for coffee with a relative of mine, different best friends. And we were stopped by two men in plain clothes, no badges, no uniforms, nothing, just authority. They detained us, demanded our phones, and demanded the passwords. And in that moment, you realize that your life hangs by a thread. If they find the wrong message, the wrong app, the wrong post or article, I wouldn't just be arrested. I would disappear into a system known for electroshock, torture, and indefinite detention. Luckily, I survived that day, but in a way, I never left that interrogation. For the next 3 years, I didn't live in Egypt. I haunted it. Couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and I was down to 77 pounds. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't see a young man. I saw a zombie with sunken eyes. I was a zombie walking down the streets of Cairo, waiting and waiting for the inevitable moment when the nightmare would become real. I was not living. I was postponing my own funeral. And getting out felt impossible. The path to the United States is not a straight line, it's a labyrinth. It requires paperwork, money, interviews, and a level of luck that most people never see. And when I finally found myself out of that labyrinth, people would often ask me, how did it feel to finally be free on that plane? And the truth is, I don't remember. I don't have a single memory of these flights. I can barely tell you anything about my first week, and I can tell you nothing about the first few months that I spent in the US. I was physically here, but mentally I was paralyzed. I was in a total shock. I was waiting for someone to tell me that it was a mistake. I was waiting for someone to tell me, what the heck, it was just a long freaking dream. But the tragedy of surviving is that I cannot take the people who kept me breathing with me. And now I live with this agonizing dilemma. My memory with these people are still there. They did not disappear. They're the only thing I have left. And the people I loved didn't disappear either, but my reality with them did. The weight of my cat sleeping next to me, the love of my life that is just gone, the memories of myself and my brother being up all night playing video games, these aren't physical realities anymore. They belong to a timeline I no longer have access to. I had to leave behind the people I love, the people I care about, to keep my own self alive. And so, seeking asylum is not just a dash for freedom, it's a trade. You trade a physical prison for a mental one. You see, even here, thousands of miles away, I'd wake up terrified of being in that chair in the interrogation room. But I'm not telling you this so you can feel pity for me or for the people that I left behind that I still feel guilty for. I'm telling you this because pity is passive. Pity changes nothing. And I want you to look around you right now. The hammer I described earlier, the one that strikes down difference, the one that demands silence, it doesn't stop at borders. It doesn't need passports. It exists wherever conformity is valued over humanity. It exists wherever books are banned, identities erased, or even neighbors turn against each other because of who they are. So please do not mistake your current safety for your permanent one. Do not stay silent because the hammer hasn't hit you yet. I want you to realize that freedom is not a permanent inheritance. It's a daily battle. It's fragile. And if you stop fighting for it, history teaches us that freedom disappears. And I'm telling you this because you have something I fought my whole life to get. You have a voice that does not cost you your life. Because for people like me, the truth was a crime. But for people like you, the truth is a responsibility. So I implore you to be the noise that drowns out the silence. علشان الصمت هو اللي بيقتلنا. Because silence is what kills us. Thank you.